Just before we start, I do want to mention that there are spoilers from the manga, so you've been warned. Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of Edis, and I'm back here with another video. Before we get into it, of course, I know I said that I would be doing a Naruto what if. I just watched the movie that I need to make the part, so I haven't constructed all my thoughts together. Also, like I said in the community tab, I gave that Naruto way too many abilities and jutsus that I categorized into different things. But then I realized that I literally made him the son of one of the most overpowered characters. So that's kind of my fault in a way. But we're gonna get into this. What if Deku trained like Baki? Part 10. And as you can notice by the title, it is not the finale because I have to extend it just a little bit. So good for you guys, I guess. And let's get back into me telling you his abilities, which I can't remember most of them. So if some of you remember some of them that I missed, please tell me in the comments. And yeah, now the first ability that I can only remember right now, only a little bit, is the technique that I call recoil. At least I think that's what I called it. And if it isn't, well, this is the new name for it, new and improved. He releases all his strength in a split second, being like 100 times faster and stronger. And it's kind of like he just like pushes himself. And if he punches you in an instant, it will be his strongest punch in that instant. And then he will go back to normal and he'll just keep doing it and doing it. It works for all movements, but he got used to it after training with his weights on and all that. And at this point, actually, he's at 1,500 pounds, overall on his body. So he's getting used to the technique a bit more. The second is Bloodlust release, which is exactly what it sounds like. He can just like send out Bloodlust that can freeze his enemy. And in certain cases, which I'm about to explain in the story, he can even make you know what attack he's gonna do against you, which can either terrify you to your freaking core or just make you give up the fight. You'll understand when I start. The second one is stealth. Like I said, he used to hunt animals with his dad in the forest as like a daily thing, so he's pretty good at hiding his presence. And the last thing is obviously his demon back, which honestly is the most best multiplier for a Hanma. So yeah, that's what he has. Let's actually get into the story now. Deku and Kirishima just passed Night Eye's agency exam, and he has recognized Izuku as a genuinely good hero. And for Kirishima, he doubted him, thinking that Deku or Miria was more suitable for One For All, but he was proven wrong when Kirishima passed as well. So even though he can't accept it, he can't deny that Kirishima has great power and potential. So after passing the test, the three heroes would be told to go and patrol the streets because they had been having some suspicions about a certain group, the Yakuza. In fact, they had been interrogating Chisaki, who was held in custody, and all he tells them is, "We're the least of your troubles." We cut to Baki, Red Riot, and Lemillion on the street as out of nowhere a huge explosion erupts from an alley, and out of it comes Hanayama Kaoru, carrying and cradling something in his arms. People in the surrounding area started to panic as a Nomu comes out of the alley, attacking Hanayama. Hanayama barely dodges it, getting his suit burned up, but unlike usual, he doesn't regenerate, and the three are left confused at this entire situation. Kirishima asks, "I thought that guy was with the League of Villains. What's going on? Now they're enemies?" Baki says, "We shouldn't think about that right now. Let's take care of the Nomu first." Lemillion says alright, and as he says this, he just barely dodges a bullet as he sees the guy that caused the explosion, and he runs after him instead. Kirishima launches at the Nomu with 10% power, while Baki uses his new moves and uses his scarf to grab its head and yanks it off, just as Kirishima lands a blow in its stomach. Baki now holds the head of the Nomu as he drops it to the floor and just steps on it. Blood is splattering everywhere as he smirks in a devilish way. Kirishima then starts to walk towards him to tell him that was an awesome, team combo thing, but he feels just a weird feeling as all of a sudden he envisions his stomach being hit so hard and so fast that it leaves a hole in it. He then falls to the ground breathing heavily as he sees Baki turn around with the blankest look, but this scares him for some reason. Soon he's brought back to reality when Baki calls out his name while extending his hand out. "Dude, what happened? You look really pale," asks Baki. Kirishima says, "It's nothing. I just saw something really weird." He lets Baki help him up as all of a sudden the two get surprised when people start cheering behind them. Baki says, "I think we got some fans." Miro then comes out of the alley, says, "I guess so." And now he looks straight at Hanayama and says, "Now you explain what's going on here." Hanayama stands up holding something in his arms as he says, "Fine, but you have to promise that you'll actually hear me out." Miro nods as Baki and Kirishima then tell people to go home and stay safe just in case something else happens. Now, Hanayama said that they would need to bring them to their leader, and so they did. When Hanayama stepped in to the agency, Night Eye stood up on guard as Baki says, calm down. He's here to tell us something. Besides, he's vulnerable." Night Eye says, "Talk fast." Hanayama then unravels what's in his arms to reveal Eri sleeping comfortably. Mirio asks, "Is that little girl your daughter?" Hanayama says, "No, she's my niece." He pats her on the head, and as he does, Night Eye then points to a couch in the corner, and Hanayama then covers her with her blanket as she puts him down, and she's just cuddled up in her little blanket. Then he sits back with the others around the table and gets serious as he tells them the whole story. Now here's the story. Eri accidentally used her quirk when she was a child to kill her dad, and after this her mom gave her over to her father-in-law, who was the leader of the Yakuza gang, and Hanayama was supposed to succeed him. Then all of a sudden Chisaki, who was the one that the Yakuza gang picked up and took care of, started to act weird. On a weird occasion, he was found about to just use his quirk on Eri, and he got a mean right hook to the face from Hanayama. And considering how Hanayama's quirk is, his super strength quirk, and how mad he was, Chisaki did not try anything like that ever again. But he got found by someone who changed his mind, and he started to attack small-time heroes, and no one ever noticed, or they just thought Stain did it at that time. That's why he ended up trying to attack Inko. It was to mess with Deku because he beat up his idol. Hanayama was very special to Chisaki. It was like his big brother. And since Deku beat him up, he wanted to get revenge. That's what caused Yujiro to become a hero, which caused the downfall of All For One when him and All Might teamed up. So the new boss decided to take this anger out on someone. Someone had just messed up their whole plan and caused the downfall of his master. So of course he tried to use Eri to his advantage to try to weaken heroes and create quirk, canceling bullets. Of course that didn't work, and that's how Hanayama is here. Night Eye then asks, "So who's the new boss?" Hanayama says in a serious tone, "Shigaraki. That crazy bastard gained All For One's quirk, so he took back the generation that All For One gave me." Baki then says, "He can steal quirks?" Good things I don't have anything to steal. Hanayama says, "Well, interesting thing about that. Kid, your quirk was stolen, probably." Everyone is completely shocked as Baki cannot process what he just heard. Baki says, "Who was it? How did they do it? Why? Why did they do it?" Hanayama says, "A few years back, All For One disguised himself as a doctor and little by little stole quirks from kids and deemed them quirkless. I'm guessing he wanted to stop more heroes from being made, but aside from that, I can't figure out his game. Sorry." Baki cannot believe anything he just heard. His whole life was just pain because someone called him quirkless, and so people started to hate on him for that. He decides he needs a moment and excuses himself. As soon as he does, Night looks at Kirishima, who's emanating just pure anger. Deku was his friend, his comrade, and he worked so hard no matter what happened. And now he finds out that this all could have been so much of an easier road for him if some villain wasn't so selfish. And it just made him so mad. Like, how could this happen? Why did this happen? Why did it have to happen to him? He never did anything wrong. Kirishima says, how do we take down the new holder of All for One? You gotta have a plan, right? Night just nods as he looks towards Eri sleeping and thinks that he has to end this fast. This just can't go on. Kirishima says, don't worry about it. We'll get your quirk back somehow. Deku says, I don't need it. Both Mirio and Kirishima are shocked. Mirio says, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to be even stronger and to help more people? Deku stops walking as he says, if I did that, nothing I've done to this point would mean squat. It would mean that I set a goal for myself and then give up on it because I want strength handed to me on a silver platter. After all this time, there is no way. Screw quirks. I'm a Hanma. Quirks or not, I'll beat everyone. We then see a tall figure watching over these boys, and it's Yujiro. He was patrolling and he stopped on top of a building. He says, that's my boy. You're almost there. Your Hanma blood, all your training, hardships, it's all led up to this. Your enlightenment. Yujiro grins like a demon. Now we go to the UA kids who have been going on the usual training and studying and hanging out until one day Deku, Kirishima, Mirio, Uraraka, and Asui are called to a meeting after school. Night mentions that currently there is quite literally nothing they know, and Yujiro stands mad. Then why the hell are we here? You're wasting my time. Deku says, Dad, chill out, just listen, he wasn't done. Yujiro sighs as he sits back down. Night says, like I said, we don't know anything, but someone here can tell us. They bring in the guy that Mirio caught, and he's scared shitless being surrounded by so many heroes. Yujiro then says, so are you gonna talk or what? The villain says, I'm not telling you anything, old man. Yujiro's hair just starts to rise, but then Deku puts his hand on his shoulder as he says he will take care of it. All of a sudden, Deku's hair starts to rise, just like Yujiro's, and everyone can just feel the anger and bloodlust being released from him. Even Yujiro trembles. Yujiro says, you really are my finest creation. Deku then starts to walk towards the villain as the people who brought him in let go and back away in fear. Deku cracks his neck. This isn't an option. I'm not asking for your opinion. You will talk now. All of a sudden, the villain experiences something. He envisions how Deku was planning to kill him. He sees his head being ripped off by Deku, just using his pure strength. The villain falls back and obviously is like really traumatized. I'm sorry, I'll talk. I know where the hideout is, just don't kill me. Yujiro questions, kill you? What? He then notices Deku smiling in a devilish way and about to go in for a punch, and he just jumps at him, pinning him to the ground. Everyone is a bit confused, and this is when Yujiro realizes something. Throughout the Hanma bloodline, all Hanmas have a speciality, something that makes them uniquely strong. For him, it was his demon back, which he developed really early, and his ability to just learn any technique just by observing them. For his dad, it was how he was just unquestionably strong. His dad took down an entire US army all by himself using one technique. But for Deku, it wasn't an unique ability. He was evolving right in front of everyone, and right now he can't control himself. And as soon as he realizes this, Deku grabbed his arm trying to get Yujiro off, but he just stood up, lifted him up, and knocked him out. Kirishima starts to run over to check on Deku and ask Yujiro what's going on when Yujiro stops him and said, stop, you can't talk to him right now. He's changing. At this point, he would attack any of us. I'll come back later, Night. Yujiro leaves, slamming the door shut, and then silence falls. Then Rocklock speaks up saying, so, anybody want to tell me what the hell that was? Deku is put in his room with Yujiro explaining his theory to Inko while she's reading. Is he gonna be okay? Asks Inko, worried obviously. Yujiro says if he can hold himself back long enough, just maybe, if he can, he will make it through, but it all depends on him. At this point, he could go savage and I don't know what he'll do. Yujiro then looks at the arm that, Deku grabbed and saw that it was actually bruised. Him, Yujiro Hanma, he got bruised. He could not be more scared right now. Not of Deku, but of the people that he might hurt if he can't control himself. We go to Deku in his room as he just feels the need to kill so strongly that he no longer feels human. It's like his body won't listen to him. It's like he's in a trance. He's still asleep, but then he suddenly wakes up, filled with so much strength and breathing like an animal. He breaks the window in his room and jumps out of the mansion as he falls to the ground after a 50 feet tall jump. Yujiro notices and runs outside, but he's too late. Deku was gone. He starts following his tracks and promises Inko that he will get their child back to normal. Now Deku is running through the streets at intense speed, latching onto light posts and jumping off them so hard that they break out of the ground. Soon he reaches what would be Yue and jumps over the gates and enters. He runs to the window of Momo's room and he looks inside her room from the outside. As he stares into the cold dark room, he sees nothing and starts to go savage until he sees the moon shine on Momo's beautiful face. He snaps out of this trance and falls to the ground, making a very loud boom. Everyone in the dorms wake up as they go outside and see Deku. Bakugo yells, "Why the hell are you doing this at this time of the night, you weirdo? You do need sleep, don't you?" Deku gets up and he's actually surprised because he didn't feel any pain from falling. And he says, I tried to climb up to my room and then I fell face first. Everyone starts laughing and Momo comes over to him and says that they should go inside. Deku smiles at her and hugs her. She hugs him back. Kirishima says, "You do know we're still here, right? Get a room, you two." Everyone chuckles at this and Bakugo furiously goes back inside because he needs to sleep and everyone follows behind him. But before they leave, Deku says, "Momo, we need to talk before we go back inside. Can you listen to me?" She nods as they go to the steps and sit down. Deku starts to talk. "I don't know what's happening to me lately. I can't control my emotions, and at a certain point, even my dad had to come in." Momo was surprised and shocked. "Your dad? He had to step in? I mean, that's serious, but what does..." Deku cuts her off. "I want you to find someone else if I ever go out of control, because I don't know, by the time I might realize I badly messed up, it'll be too late. I don't know how to." Momo slaps him as Deku sees her crying. "Do you think I would leave you just for losing control just a bit? Who do you think I am? I chose to be with you. I love you." Deku's eyes widen as he hugs her, patting her head and saying, "I'm sorry for even mentioning that. I love you too." Momo says, "You freaking better." They just stay there hugging each other until they finally go inside, and Yujiro did see this, and he's happy that his son finally calmed the hell down before he got a bad case of how do I say this? If Deku didn't get calmed down by Momo, he would have went on a killing spree. Let's just say that. And I know I'm over exaggerating it a little bit, but if you watch Baki and if you read the manga, sometimes the traits of a Hanma are very, very over exaggerated. They're just monsters, so I thought it would be perfect to put in there. Just saying. So they finally go inside after hugging for a while. And after this, in the heat of the moment, they completely forgot that the boys are not allowed in the girls' dorm and enter Momo's room as Deku throws her on the bed. And after that, they get busy. I'm not gonna go into detail on that. Use your imagination, you weirdos. The next day, Deku wakes up and notices a naked Momo next to him. Then he remembers what happened last night. And he gets scared as shit because my man don't remember bringing out condoms. So, yeah. This is when Momo wakes up, and when she does, she sees a naked Izuku and she covers herself up, turning around and blushes. Momo says, Did we? Deku says, yep. Well, my mom's gonna kill me. Momo says, your mom, what about your dad? Deku says, he was waiting for this day to come. You will not believe. And then they both blush as they slowly calm down and get their clothes on without looking at each other. And when they're done, Deku turns around saying, if anything happens, I'll take responsibility. Don't think what happened last night didn't mean anything to me. She runs over and hugs him as they hold hands and confidently open the door. And they're lucky because the girls haven't woken up yet, so they go to the living room together. Deku starts to make breakfast as Kirishima, who had woken up, entered, in his jammies in the living room. Kirishima says, hey yo, Deku, back to normal or will I need to hold you down myself? Deku laughs, saying, nah, I think I'm okay. For now, anyway. Want some pancakes? Kirishima says, yeah, make them extra fluffy. Soon everyone comes out from their rooms and are smelling the awesome thing that Deku was cooking up. He's cooking up some pancakes, some bacon, some good ass scrambled eggs. And somehow that day Deku ended up just cooking for everyone. It was probably one of the best meals they had. Now, Shigaraki is currently in a tube containing some strange liquid. And now we change point of view. We see a strange, it's just a weird doctor. He had a huge grin on his face. And we switch perspective again. We see Shigaraki's tube surrounded by a bunch of tubes that contain Nomus. And the doctor speaks. Get ready, heroes, for my ultimate creation. He keeps laughing in a psychotic manner as we go to the different perspective again. We see the other villains outside the crazy scientist's lab. Dalby says, does that weirdo ever stop laughing? Toga says, nope, if anything, we're gonna hear that all night. Magnus then says, well, it's not a bad trade for finally getting the world we want. Twice says, well, that's if nobody interferes. And then I can finally spend the rest of my life with Toga. Toga says nothing to this but smiles at Twice because she doesn't like him like that, but they're good friends. Yes, Twice has been friend zoned many times and he still keeps on going. We go back to Tomura Shigaraki's perspective. He sees All For One, who tells him that it's time. Shigaraki says, yeah, it is, but we're doing this my way, master, not yours. It's time for me to take over. All For One vanishes and Tomura Shigaraki laughs as he towers over the two that he's planning to erase from this world. Deku, a quirkless boy, and Kirishima, the holder of the power that he wants. I'm gonna end it there. Now I hope you guys liked that part. Like I said in the beginning, spoilers. This is actually, yes, this is in the manga. I took a little bit from it. If anything, I'm gonna take a lot from the manga, and that's gonna be the finale. So for y'all that didn't watch, for the ones that haven't read the manga, I'm sorry, but if you want a longer series, I was definitely gonna get to this point, so sorry. But yeah, I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.